Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am so happy to have a conversation with actress Taylor Dearden. Taylor has been in Sweet Vicious, American Vandal, and more. You can currently see Taylor as Dr. Melissa King in The Pit, which is one of my favorite shows. Thank you so much for being on my show. I am so excited to be talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's get started. So, who has had the biggest impact on you professionally?
I can tell you who made me want to be an actor.
Yeah.
Uh, Laurie Metcalf.
Yeah.
I saw her play Kate in a production of All My Sons by Arthur Miller, which is my favorite play and my favorite playwright, at the Geffen Playhouse, which is a great playhouse here in LA. And I remember when it was over, my parents tried to get me up, and I was just like still staring at the stage. And they're like, "We have to go." And I'm like, "I don't think I can move." And that was it. I was like, "That's what I want to do."
Oh, wow. I love that. Yeah. So who has had the biggest impact on you personally?
Um, there's a woman who's very close to our family. Um, she passed away. But she was kind of like a guardian angel always with me. And um, yeah, her name's Luann. She's is and was the best ever. And so yeah.
I love that. And I'm so sorry to hear that she passed away.
Yeah, it's sad, but there's something like now she can, kind of be watching all of us all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so what in your life brings you the most joy?
Acting. Definitely acting.
Yeah.
Specifically, I love theater. I love stage.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Yeah. So what has been the biggest obstacle you've overcome?
I mean, being someone with disabilities is always, and being neurodivergent means that everything is takes longer and is harder and also takes more energy.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've always been me, and it's tough to just exist in a world that is not meant for us,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the everything that's like there's this great piece on NPR about how, you know, neurotypical people don't even understand that time is an ableist thing.
Yeah.
Like a time limit on like, oh, you have to have a 2-minute speech. It means like anyone with speech impediments, anyone who doesn't have time work the same way in their heads, like
Yeah.
that's you're constantly going up against stairs in a wheelchair with stuff like that and
Yeah.
not people not understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I also know that yeah, sometimes I will um like I have a wheelchair that sometimes I use when we're out and like I just my head like hurts so much I can't really do
Yeah.
anything that's like a way for me to still be able to get out and but there's so many places that aren't that they say they're wheelchair accessible, but they aren't.
Yeah,
And
they're for the wheelchairs that are like the skinniest and you're like,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah, there was one place we went into actually when we were in LA, my family and I, that said it was wheelchair accessible, but the aisles were so yeah, like we couldn't go down any aisles.
Yeah, but especially not you wheeling yourself because it's
Yeah.
like your elbows are hitting the yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, so what motivates you even on days you aren't really feeling it?
Um, I always know being outside is huge for me. Like it always changes my mood. And I love to camp and hike, but it's so easy to forget that that's an option. And it just, you get so caught up in everything you have to do that you forget that, well, that will help me a lot. My emotional well-being would be so much better if I did that more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, it's proven to be good for everyone. So,
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. So what is your most memorable moment from a day on set?
ooh, it's a good question. There have been a lot. Let's see if anything sticks out. This set, I think because we worked crazy. It's not the hours weren't long, they were just so jam-packed. And we're saying Greek and Latin words like we say it all the time and doing procedures and it was so jam-packed that if any of us get a little giggly because we're so exhausted, it just takes over. And there have been a few times where um uh especially Garen and I will just we can't look at each other because we're just at that state of tired where you're like, if I look at you, I'm gonna crack up. And that is not what we're supposed to be doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have those people that when I'm trying to be serious, when like I have to be serious, I can't look at them because I know I'll just start laughing.
It's just and especially if you're tired, it's just like this is just a matter
Yeah,
of time. And
yeah,
the other
it-
thing would be with Sweet Vicious, working with Eliza Bennett, who's obviously incredible. Um, they would often have us really close for our last lines. And so it'd be like, what do you think? And she'd be like, what do you think? And it was so hard to not laugh because we're like, we look like we're gonna kiss or something. And they're like, no, no, I promise it doesn't look like that. But we would be nose to nose almost the entire time. And it was just like, this just is so hard to keep a straight face.
yeah. That's really funny. Yeah. Um, yeah, so the pit is so good and so realistic. What drew you to this show?
As an actor, we audition for everything and take everything we can get.
Yeah.
Very lucky it was this show that wanted me, which is still kind of crazy to think of. Um, I think I'd say I was more scared to do this than any other job because it's so daunting to not only be in a medical show, but to be a doctor, knowing what everything means and how to do all that stuff is like, oh, there's acting and then all of this stuff on top of it. Um, but it was also exciting because I kind of I got the sense early on and then in rehearsals and trying on clothes and hearing stories about Noah and just how much he can do now and what he knows about and how his whole family they all message him. They're like, I have a rash. What do you think this looks like? Always. And it started with me too. So my mom will text me and goes, does this look okay? And I'll like, and it's weird because I thought I would mostly be like, I don't know. But there are times where I'm like, well, that's just an edema. You might want to, and I'm just like, how did I? It's very surprising because it kind of seeps in without you knowing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, can you relate to your character in any way?
Yeah, we're both neurodivergent. Um, and I think with Mel, I think I'm just better masking than Mel. Um, and but it's still, you know, whether it's me or Mel, we're not in a world meant for us, unfortunately. Not meant for us. We were supposed to be here always,
Yeah.
but the world does not adjust to us at all.
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and then there's so many assumptions of what you're capable of and what
Yeah,
you're not, and it's just it's always an uphill battle,
yeah,
as you know.
yeah. And I'm so sorry that you have to experience that.
Yeah, well, a lot of us do, and it's just
Yeah,
I think the thing is because but isn't it so wonderful when someone gets close to you and they know all the stuff?
yeah,
They don't treat you differently, but they just know it.
yeah,
It's the best.
absolutely. Yeah, it is. I know my best friend is one of those people for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Yeah, so I am pop culture obsessed and go in stages of shows that I'm so sorry, my brain is kind of goes in all these different places, but so so it's my best friend and then my mom and my sister that are that for me. So yeah. Um sorry, now back on track.
No problem. I never follow anything anyway.
Um, so I am pop culture obsessed and go in stages of shows that I cannot stop watching. Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
I've always been a Law and Order fan,
Yeah.
especially the old ones that are like way more realistic. And so I know there's one, I think it's just so specific. Sundance on Wednesdays and Thursdays has the old Law and Order marathons, and I'm always like, oh, it's Wednesday. I should probably put that on. Because I've always liked learning about the legal system. I've always been fascinated by it, and I think especially the old ones, which were way more accurate.
Mm,
Trying to think of anything else. Also, Friends, always.
yeah.
Whenever you're feeling, well, you could feel anything and want to watch Friends, but I think especially feeling overwhelmed, Friends is always something that like drops a bunch of stress levels for me. Of
Yeah.
just, oh, okay, yeah, I know this. This is familiar and comfortable, and I don't have to think too hard, but I can also just enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely Um, yeah, understand that. Friends is one of my biggest comfort shows too, and yeah, I really like Law and Order too. So yeah. I haven't seen really any of the older episodes. I've been meaning to go back and watch those because I love Jesse L. Martin. So I want to watch his seasons. And I started watching it though when they brought it back. Um,
Yeah, me too, yeah.
yeah.
And it's such a difference. I mean, it's I still watch them all of them. And but there is such a difference. It's gritty. The old ones are gritty. Like, oh, darker and like more realistic but darker too. So it's almost like you get a kind of a split of different shows within the same show. It's
Oh
interesting.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Yeah. Um, yeah, I am excited to go back and watch some of the older ones.
Yeah. They're
So,
really sorry, someone's buzzing my wrist like crazy and it's not
oh, it's
listening.
okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
Patience.
Yeah.
Please be patient.
Yeah.
Probably that.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll make my point eventually, maybe.
Oh,
Um, Patience in everything, I think.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Well, I like that one.
Patience needed, I guess it would be. I'm not patient, but patience is needed. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so what genre of movie would your life story be told as?
Mm. Dramedy, I'd say.
Hmm.
I feel like that's kind of a cheat too, because it's like, who wouldn't be a dramedy? Um, but yeah, dramedy, I think, I mean, I'm a very goofy, funny person, but I feel very deeply. And so I think it kind of always goes between that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. So what is your biggest pet peeve?
I hate gum.
Mm. Yeah.
Being around it, I think it's really gross. If it touches me, I'm like, I have to wash my hands. I feel really weird about it. I don't know why.
Mm.
Really don't know why, but I just, ugh.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So if you had the opportunity to put a message on a billboard for everyone to see, what would it be?
Right now in this climate, I'd say facts are real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just something, just to, or, everyone's a person. I think we're losing that a lot right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you went back in history and said there will be a time in which facts are not believed, I think we would all be like, nah,
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
The president thinks we're making mice transgender, not transgenic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like that message. I think that's a good one.
Facts are real. Listen to science.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so what subject could you give a TED Talk on, even though you are totally unqualified on that subject?
I think it would be with all the law and order, I think it'd be the legal system.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd get a lot wrong. Every once in a while, I might go, that's actually kind of right, but everything else would be wrong. But I'd have I'd be so sure of myself. I'd be so
Yeah.
confident about it. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you have confidence, I
Really,
think.
I think that's what TED Talks are about in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that knowing how to hold your hands,
Oh, yeah.
those are the two imperatives.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of subjects that I am definitely not qualified for, but I feel like I could. I know I could at
Yeah.
least talk about them for a
Yeah.
while. Maybe not give like any information, but talk about them.
Yeah. It'll sound like I'm an expert. I'm
Yeah.
not, but it'll sound like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it sounds like it and you're confident, I think.
I agree. That's how I would try and approach life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to, yeah, approach life. Yeah. Um, so I love inspiring and motivational quotes. And this week, the one that spoke to me is don't let your fear paralyze you. The
Hmm.
scariest paths often lead to the most exciting places. Is
Definitely.
there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Um, I'm not a I'm not Christian, but I love this too shall pass.
Hmm.
It's just such an easy way of just kind of like putting everything in perspective, I think, and just realizing that, you may be in the hardest spot you've ever been in, but time changes things. Everything moves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you could look back on yourself like a year and be like, wow, I am in such a different place. So that passed. It passed. That too passed.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, that was my final question for you. Um, I've just had the best time talking with
You
you. I
too.
can't thank you enough for joining me. So, yeah, thank you.
Of course, this was really fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had so much fun talking with you and Yeah, I have to tell you, I look forward to watching The Pit every week. That's one show I like count down the days until I get to watch a new episode.
And
And
I really like that we have to wait.
yeah,
It kind of creates such an energy in me of like, okay, what's the next one though? I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I like shows when you can like binge watch them all at once, and then I also love having shows that you have to wait week to week because it always gives me something to look forward to, and The Pit is one of those shows for me. So, yeah. So I can't wait to keep watching the season and see what happens next. So yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, so thank you so much again. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Um, and that's a wrap on today's edition of the latest to admire.